Okay, so one thing I get asked about a lot is strength training, particularly for endurance athletes. Now, this is something that I've really changed my mind about over the last few years. I was never really a proponent of strength training, especially for triathletes, because you have all these other sports you have to do: swim, bike, run. Then you've got stretching, you've got yoga, you've got body work and massage, all that stuff. There's just not enough time in the day to add strength training as well, when you could argue that the other three are potentially more important to do. However, recently I've really changed my mind about this. If we paddle back as to why we're looking at doing these things, that is a great place to start. So why should an endurance athlete do strength training? The reason to do strength training or work in the gym is very different if you're doing it for aesthetics than if you're doing it for athletic performance. Let's dive down into endurance and specifically what the benefits are around that. So first of all, for me, it's about increasing or actually maintaining muscle mass. Now, as we age, we naturally start to lose muscle mass, and we have to actively work on maintaining that or increasing that. Now, I'm not talking about bulking up and becoming massive, which is a common fear among athletes, especially where endurance is concerned. Power to weight is a really important ratio, and people have this fear that they're going to bulk up. Trust me, you're not going to bulk up doing weight training. Even bodybuilders who try to do this for a living struggle to put on muscle mass for the most part. It's a lot of hard work to gain muscle mass or to work on the hypertrophy, however you want to pronounce it. So let's talk about when to do strength training. Now, there's a bunch of different contexts to answer this question about when. Let's first look at the overall season. If we look at the span of the entire year, at this end of the year, I have a competition where I'm doing a huge amount of training, very, very sport specific. Rewind to the beginning of the year, which is also the time immediately following my last competition of the year. That is really where I'm focusing a lot on focused strength training, where strength training has a priority. At this side, strength training does not have a priority close to race day. So call it the off season, call it the foundational phase. This is really where my strength training is focused. And as I transition out through the year to the competition phase, the strength training is really evolving into more sport-specific activities. This would be things like paddles in the pool. So when you're using paddles, you're creating that similar exercise of the lats than you would with a pull-up. So pull-up, you're really engaging the lats. You're really just transitioning in the pool to using a paddle with high resistance, very similar exercise, but sport specific. On the bike, this is about doing low cadence hill reps. And I'm talking about short hill reps, 1 minute, very low cadence, 40 RPM, something like that. That equates to roughly a set in the gym of 20 reps. But it's sport specific, it's on the bike. I do that once a week. The typical workout would be 4 sets of 1 minute, low cadence. I don't look at the power meter, nothing. I just want to make sure I have that torque. I'm really engaging those muscles that are cycling specific. And then on the run, I'm doing hill reps. Maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks, I'm doing maybe 30 to 60 second reps up a hill, really over engaging all the muscles involved in running. Really creating a bit of a spring in your step going up those hills. Let's talk about when do you strength train within a week, right? So we're focusing on this portion of it, the foundation, the off season. We're far out from the competition. I'm training twice a week, strength training twice a week. I'm doing it on the same day as my hardest endurance workouts. And I'm doing them at least 3 hours apart. So a typical day, I may start at 6 a.m. I'm doing some sort of endurance workout on the bike. Let's say it's 2 hours long. I feel well during that workout. I then wait at least 2 or 3 hours before going into the gym. Personally, I do this at separate times of the day. So I might do my bike workout in the morning and my gym workout in the afternoon or the evening. I make sure that I feel well in between. This is not a day where you should skimp on calories, on nutrients. You want to be well-fueled, heavily neutronized. What is that? What is neutronized? I love that. Neutronized. Neutronized. Let's neutralize ourselves before the gym session. Okay, so what does a strength training session actually look like once I get into the gym? First of all, I'd say that if you're new, you should really get a personal trainer, someone who can coach you through the precise movements of these exercises. form is one of the most important things. If you do these exercises wrong, you're going to have the opposite effect of what you're intending. You're probably going to create injury instead of avoiding it. The other thing, if you're new, is don't jump into heavy weights straight away. You want to start off with lighter weights until you've mastered the form, until you're comfortable with the exercises. So let's just assume that that's already done. You understand how to do these exercises properly. You've got good form, and now you're ready to start training. What I do is I go into the gym. I will start with a warm-up. I'll either spin easy on the bike for 5 to 10 minutes, or I'll actually do some of these exercises like the squat or the deadlift, but just with very light weight and high repetitions, just to get that movement going, get the blood flowing to the muscles in a very specific way. Once I do that, I will sequence into the actual sets. Now, I'm focusing on a pretty low number of repetitions. So between 4 to 8 reps, and I'm doing 4 to 6 sets. And the weight that I choose is based on what I can do for that number of sets and reps. For example, I will go and do 4 by 6 or 8 reps of a leg press. The amount of weight is what I can do 8 reps at. If I can do 15 reps, then the weight is too light. If I can't even lift it up once, then it's too heavy. So it's using your intuition, a little bit of trial and error in the first sessions to get that weight right. You want to be just about able to complete it, but really struggling towards the end. Let's quickly talk about rest. How much rest do I take in between sets? And typically it's quite a lot. It would be 3, 4, or even 5 minutes in between each set. So plenty of recovery. You want to go into each set as recovered as you can be and ready to really hit it hard. Okay, some really big mistakes I see people making. Avoid these at all costs. The number one, I've mentioned this already, form. I see people going in, lifting weights much heavier than they should with incorrect form. This is just counterproductive. You're not achieving what you want to achieve, and you're risking injury. This is the last thing you want to do as an endurance athlete. You don't want your injury prevention routine to cause an injury. Form, form, form. Get help if you need it, please. Form is so critical. The other mistake I see from endurance athletes, this is super common, and it's because it's logical, and that is that they do a high number of reps with low weight. So they're doing an endurance activity in the gym, but their main sport is also an endurance activity. If you go to the gym and you're doing a high number of reps, 20, 30, 40, 50 reps with low weight doing squats, that is just like a less specific version of cycling. Cycling itself is like a resistance exercise with low weight and high reps. There's no point in doing that in the gym as well. You need to be doing pretty much the opposite of that in order to reap the benefits and have the adaptations that maintain your muscle mass. You're not going to generate much of a different adaptation if you just basically do cycling on a weight machine. The third one is just inconsistency. So what I mean by that is do 1 session a week and then 2 sessions a week, and then you skip 3 weeks and then you're back in the gym. You really need to be consistent. I would say at least once a week, you want to make sure that you keep doing this gym work and avoid long breaks if possible. Now, this is different to the structure of an entire season where you would reduce the frequency of gym workouts as the season goes on. So to recap what I said about that, in the off season, or as soon as my last race finishes, I'm in the gym twice a week, maybe even 3 times a week, but generally twice a week. As the season progresses towards race day, I'm in the gym less and less frequently. So as I start racing, maybe my less important races, I may still be in the gym once a week, but then I'm really transitioning into sport-specific workouts. Okay, so if you have a question that you would like me to answer, please ask me anything. You can ask in the comments. If you want to remain anonymous, you can go to my website. I'll put a link to that. There's a contact form. You can ask it there, and I'll be happy to answer it on a video.